Good day all. Right, so this video is entitled sticking with your principles, sticking with your main principle slash principle slash principles. Right. So people might have one principle, two principle, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10, any amount of principles you wish to have in this life. Right. Principle meaning that something you abide by for the sake of truth. Right. A statement, an action, right, that defines who you are, right, and it defines truth, right, as a statement that defines who you are and it defines that which is true, right. So people might have any whatever principles they want to have, right. The purpose of this video is to help you to in this timing, right. It's all about a rough time and the time that we live in now, right. If in fact wars are taking place throughout the world, right? If in fact there are wars taking place throughout the world, right? We are living in a very tumultuous time right now, right? People are living in tumultuous times right now, right? And a principle is something that you live by and you die by, right? You live and die by this, right? Is you live for the sake of this, you die for the sake of this, right? Wherever your principle, or that which the statement it is that you claim or you know to be true, right? Something that you live by, right? So to these forces that keep coming yapping in my head again, I'll just deal with this once and for all. I speaking it out publicly, right? There have been multiple forces coming and spiritually blackmailing me to break my vegetarianism, which is basically my main principle since I was 11, 12 years, right? So the forces that come in to tell me or to spiritually blackmail is not even to tell me is like spiritual blackmailing, right? That's what it has been, like spiritual blackmailing, right? Telling me that I have to break this, I have to break that principle, I have to break this principle, right? To justify whatever it is that their religion define as true, right? That is not something that I want to get tied up with, right? So please exclude me from that. God will never choose me to include more violence in my life, right? God will never, that's not something that God will choose me to include more violence. If I am withdrawing myself from violence or from violence on my plate, like if I am consistently withdrawing myself from violence upon my plate, right, that is not something that God will tell me I have to break, right? I have to break that, right? That's not, those voices aren't God, those voices aren't from God, right? So if you are experiencing this with regard to any principle you hold in your life, right, any principle, right, that you hold in your life, right, whatever people define liberation as, right, whatever people define liberation as, people define liberation as many different things, you know, right? So to liberate the world, right, what does liberating yourself, liberating the world mean, right? So people might have different definitions by which that which is liberation for some might be imprisonment for others, right? That which is liberation for some might feel like imprisonment to others, right? So me excluding violence from my plate is in fact liberation to me, right? Me making steps towards excluding or limiting violence upon my plate is liberation to me, right? And seeing others do that is a form of liberation to me as well, right? I'm not telling people what they should do or what God saying they should do or what anybody saying. People free to eat what they want to eat, right? But what I'm saying is, for me, limiting violence on my plate is a form of liberation for me, right? That is enlightenment to me, right? For myself, right? Good. So, and it is not affecting anybody, right? It isn't affecting anybody. You do it for yourself and you see the result, right? Good, in your life. So liberating the world, right? Liberating yourself, liberating the world, right? So the statement is to live by your principle, live for your principle, die for your principle. This is not to say that you cannot be flexible in life, but be flexible with that which you prefer, not what you stand firm on, not the things that you know to be true, right? That which you can be flexible with, right? That which you can be flexible with is things that, one, you are still discovering, you are still in search of. 2, things that you prefer versus another thing, right? Things that you prefer one thing over another thing, you be flexible with that. But something that you know to be true and you know to be your, and you hold it there to be your principle, you don't flex on those things, right? Regardless of whatever breeze blow, regardless of whatever wind come your way, right? Regardless of whatever breeze blow your way, you don't flex on those things, right? Good. So that's it. That's a conversation for today. Those things aren't angelic, right? Those types of voices, if anybody is going through those things and they're encouraging or blackmailing you to do certain things like that, it is definitely not angelic in nature, right? It is some other force operating in the universe to just distract you off your path, right? So just pay close attention, because as you people use the word ascend, right? As you go further into, and as you continue walking your path, right? As you continue walking your path, there are a lot of distractions, a lot of temptations, a lot of things that's coming your way, right? And these things could be of any nature, like I said, spiritual, technological, in person, it could be anything, right? So even if it means walking that, you having to walk your road alone, although I do subscribe to this isolation thing, but if you experience the kind of things I experience with these voices and so on, and the nature of these things, if it is that you have to walk that path alone, you walk it alone, right? Although I really do not subscribe to that kind of isolation thing that is being pushed, right? Like I was in 2020, right? So because I figured that which happened to me, right? It could happen to anybody, and it is a very subtle form of religious conversion that's been taking place, and I don't subscribe to it, right? So this is just a notice to stand firm in your principle. I'm not even going to use the word beliefs, right? I'm not even going to use the word beliefs, because that word is a touchy topic and it could result in a lot of confusion, result in a lot of mishaps, and result in a lot of actual wars, right? So standing firm on your principles, right? That which you know to be true principles, whatever it is, right? So have a blessed day, everybody. Evening.